Good morning and happy Sunday. I did it. I got tired of my hair, and so I took the shears, and away we go. So I have talked before about that life is seasons, just like we live in seasons in terms of the weather, that our life is seasons. And there's economic seasons, and then there's seasons in marriage. There's seasons in everything. And currently, obviously, we're in an economic winter. And we'd been in a summer and a fall with the economy for years, the longest stretch that we had ever seen. The economy started growing in 2008 and 2009. You know, when President Obama was elected, I think the Dow was around 7,800, and at one time it got up to 28,000 in a very short period of time, 10 years. So we've been in a summer and a fall for a long time, and we're now in an economic winter. And our lives go through seasons. Our whole life is a season, if you think about it. We start out as infants, and it's springtime, and then we go through summer, and then we go through fall, and then we go through winter. So I heard a story one time that really kind of brought that whole idea home to me. Guy was moving, and everybody was helping, and they were putting everything into the moving truck. And as they got going, they realized they weren't going to have enough room in the moving truck. And so they went and got a haul behind the moving truck, one of those small little carriers that you're going to pull behind the U-Haul truck so that you've got an extra trailer in order to put stuff in. So they filled up the trailer, and then they had to get everything hooked up, and they wanted to make sure everything worked right before they took off and headed out in order to go to the place where he was moving to. And his sister was behind the trailer, and he said, "Stand here, I want to make sure that the lights work." So she said, "Okay." So then she's in the back, and he turns on the truck, and he steps on the brakes. And the lights go on in the back, and she yells up at him, "It's working!" So then he flips on the blinker. And all of a sudden she says, "It's working!" Well, now it's not. "It's working!" Well, now it's not. And he stops, and he yells from the truck, "It's the blinker." And she can't hear him because of the noise and where she's at. And she says, "What?" And he sticks his head out of the truck, and he looks back at her, and he says, "It was the blinker. That's how you can tell when it's working, when it's not." When I heard that, I thought for a minute, and I said, to myself, that's really a great metaphor for life. Sometimes you can tell that it's working when it's not. Because if everything was working all the time, you'd have a brake light. If it was summer all the time, we would burn out. You need periods of time where you can regroup and rethink things. Winter is a period where you can plan. Winter is a period where you can evaluate. Winter is a period where you have time to gather. One of the things that this period of time is showing us is what's important, I think. At least it is for me. I remember in the 1980s when Russia fell that we used to laugh at them because people had to stand in line to get bread. Well, now my daughter in California has to stand in line in order to get what? Bread. And we used to also talk about how in Russia you needed papers in order to go from one state to another. Well, as our states open up, a state like Iowa or a state like, I think Georgia didn't do as much shutting down. When California or New York or Illinois start allowing tourism again, it might be a situation where they say, if you are from those states and you weren't in lockdown, then you can't come here. I don't know. That might happen. That might not happen. The point is this is a time for us to think about what is it that you really want and what's important. It's a Sunday. It's a time to look forward and think, What are the things that are really of value to me? And to also know that this season will not last forever. The seasons always change. Winter will be followed by spring every time. And spring might be a long spring, it might be a rainy spring, or it might be a short spring. We don't really know. As we move forward through all of this, tomorrow could bring a whole new situation. So prepare for that. Figure out what's important. You've looked at your goals. If you don't know what you want to do with your goals, go back and watch these videos or watch somebody else's videos. But know that this needs to happen so that we can regroup. The earth is regrouping right now. Human beings have given the earth a break. It's getting a chance to clean itself. It's getting a chance to heal. We're all getting a chance to take a break and actually stop and think about what is it that we want and what's important. You know, I don't know about you, but just the opportunity to go out to dinner with somebody else and sit there and talk, I'm going to really look forward to that. And that's not something that I used to necessarily look forward to. I can't wait to be in a stadium and be around a crowd and cheer. I can't wait to go to a concert. I can't wait to do any of those things. And I know that we're going to figure out a way for all of that to happen. But this break is going to make it so that when we do figure all that out, we're going to appreciate it that much more. I watched a special on the Roosevelts, Franklin and Eleanor, the other night, and it reminded me of the times that I spent with my grandfather, who was in the Navy in World War II in the Pacific. And I used to take him to the AMVETS. And when they would go there, they would never talk about the war, which if you hung around, you know, like Vietnam veterans and other places, they would talk about the war, but World War II guys didn't. And I asked my grandfather one time, I said, how come you guys don't ever talk about the war? And he pointed around to all the chairs in this area. And what do you mean? He goes, too many empty chairs. He says, so many people were lost in that war. He goes, you could lose half of your graduating class. And so when they came back, they had a new appreciation for life. They lived every day. And boy, did they. I mean, to them, living every day was partying. And man, they did. If you ever heard the stories about the Germania Club, if you're near Freeport, Illinois, those guys would go there on a Friday afternoon and not go home until Sunday. I mean, they felt they owed it to the people that didn't make it back to live life. And they lived life by enjoying themselves. They had parties, and they participated in life in every aspect. So as we head into another new week, it's a new month, and we're a month closer to things starting to really open up. And life's going to be different, that's for sure. But no problem lasts forever, folks. Only your soul does. We're going to get through this. Have a great Sunday, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.